Howdy everybody, I'm Gary and this is GLoPersonalFinance, where I talk about getting your finances under control, building wealth, and becoming financially independent. Many things change as you get older, but at least one thing stays the same: the importance of saving for the future. How much you can save can feel like a mystery, and life doesn't always go according to plan. The concept of building a retirement saving has become top of the list for most people over the past year. With travel, concerts, and other pricey activity virtually canceled, a lot of people wanted to learn what they can do with the excess cash. If you had savings goals to reach at different ages, it could help guide and motivate you to figure out how much to set aside. In saving for emergencies and retirement, when financial experts use the word savings, they're actually referring to two types: retirement savings and emergency savings. They serve different purposes, so it's important to build up both. The concept of emergency savings can be misleading. An emergency makes it sound like it doesn't happen often. In reality, in people's finances, things go wrong, and they have to dip into their savings or emergency fund. So the goal of an emergency fund is to prevent creating credit card debt to pay for unexpected spending shocks. No matter what you call it, an emergency fund is meant to be readily available for immediate use. A retirement fund, on the other hand, ideally remains untouched until you're ready to retire. Typically, your retirement fund is invested in an IRA account like a 401 or 403b and a Roth IRA, so you can use the power of compound interest so it can really grow. I've made a video of compound interest that I'll link up here so you can see how quickly money can build upon itself. So it's the sum of our emergency savings and all of our retirement account put together is what we're going to be using for comparisons. Stick around and see how you're stacking up against the recommended savings at your specific age. Now, the numbers that we're going to go over are meant to serve as benchmarks. These benchmarks are national income medians and averages. These are used as general guidelines. The numbers are also meant to be goals that you can achieve while you're in that specific age group, not by the time you reach it. The retirement numbers don't take into account expected investment growths. These numbers should serve as a guide rather than an exact target. Obviously, if you're a bigger spender, you might want to save a little more for retirement. If you're a financial minimalist, you can save a little less for retirement and be just fine. The goal here is to see typically how much the average person should save in their specific age group. So if you're in your 20s or 30s, you probably want to save about 1 times your current salary. So if you make around $50,000, you should have around $50,000 total in your emergency savings and retirement accounts put together. You're just starting out in your career, and that compounding hasn't taken hold of your retirement accounts just yet. Just keep your emergency savings near the 3-month mark of expenses and try and stuff as much as you can into your Roth IRAs and 401ks as possible. Time in the market is what will really make your net worth grow. Now, in your 30s and 40s, you want to have about 3 times your current salary. So in our previous example, if you're making about $50,000, you would want to save about $150,000. That money you saved in your 20s is going to start working for you now. Keep in mind, you didn't save dollar for dollar that $150,000. You've probably only saved around $90,000, and since your money was invested in the Roth and the 401k, it grew to that $150,000. So don't get discouraged if you don't have that $150,000 in cash. Granted, nobody just has $150,000 just sitting around. You have to make that money grow to $150,000. You're really letting compound interest work for you. Keep that emergency fund fully funded and don't stop contributing to your retirement accounts. Now in your 40s and 50s, you should have around 6 times your current salary, or somewhere around $300,000 to $360,000. You're in the prime of your earning years, and you should be doing a good amount of tracking of your expenses and net worth to get a feel of how you're going to be spending in your retirement years. Your emergency fund should be down solid and maybe upping your contribution, trying to max out your retirement accounts. Once you max out those retirement accounts, think about opening a regular taxable brokerage so you can have another avenue of building wealth. Now in your 50s and 60s, you should try to achieve 8 times your current salary, or somewhere in the ballpark of $400,000 to $600,000. These are your prime earning years, but life is also pretty expensive. Continue to prioritize your retirement savings because retirement isn't that far off. In your 60s and 70s, you should have 10 times your current salary, or somewhere in the ballpark of $650,000 to $1 million by now. You probably have a good idea of what retirement will look like. Take a look at your nest egg and get excited and get ready for retirement. Again, people love a benchmark, but personal finance is personal. So don't allow these benchmarks to discourage you, but see them as a rough estimation. It's really all about getting started and being consistent that matters a lot. If someone asks me how much they should save for retirement, I will always answer that question with more questions. Because with all things personal finance, the answer is, it depends. You get to choose what type of retirement you want to have. You want to know the bare minimum? We can calculate that. You want to travel 10 times throughout the year? We can calculate that. Countless factors will determine how much you can save, especially for retirement. Your income, lifestyle, employer benefits, retirement goals are some of the big ones. For me, I know I want a yacht in my retirement, but I know that's not realistic given my current lifestyle. Of course, I want to go on 4 international trips per year in my retirement years, but I'll be realistic and I'll slash it down to maybe 1 or 2 trips per year. There are many simple calculations to help you get started, like the multiply by 25 rule or the 4% rule. I've made a video of the 4% rule that it can help you estimate your retirement needs that I'll link in the description below. When you're young, really the big asset you have is time. The longer your money can be invested in the stock market and compounding for future growth, that's one of the best gifts you can give yourself financially. Starting early is also about building habits and learning about your finances. You won't miss what you don't get used to spending. By starting early, you're creating permanent great habits. I know that avocado toast sounds so appealing to eat right now, but bad habits can also have a compounding effect. It took me an extremely long time to regularly stop buying coffee at coffee shops and instead just make it at home. Even if your starting salary isn't enough to save a lot, start with a small amount, even $20. Then try to increase that amount by 5 to 10% every 6 months. You'll barely feel a difference in your paycheck. My final thoughts: retirement savings comes in phases. Life will always have big expenses like going to college or buying a house. As your income creeps up, you tend to spend more money. Try to keep lifestyle creep in check. However, you work hard for your money. Don't be afraid to enjoy a little bit of it now and in your future retirement. I hope you guys like seeing those benchmarks. Give me a thumbs up if I earned it and hit that subscribe button. Y'all stay safe out there and I'll see y'all next time.